Work also with the international issue on ATCM. We have the education. It's possible to take the education on 3 locations in Denmark, in Horsens and in Aarhus and in Holstebro. Holstebro, there we have Danish classes, but in Aarhus and in Horsens, we also have international classes. We also arrange for our 5th semester, we arrange study trip to SAIT, normally when we don't have Corona. And we also have some summer school from your side. You are coming to Denmark on summer school. That is also has been arranged. Vil du tilføje noget, Kalle?
I think I will talk a bit about our course and how it's organized. Our AT program is a bachelor degree, so it's 3.5 years, where we have first till 5th semester, that's on campus, where we normally work in groups that varies from 4 till mostly 4 people in groups, and we are using project-based learning. I don't know if you have had that opportunity yet, but that's the way we do it in Denmark. After 5th semester, we have a semester that's entirely goes to internship. So that you have to go to an architectural firm or contractor, general contractor, or just a contractor. And the 7th semester is where you take your bachelor. And the bachelor is divided into 2. So you have a written part where you have to make a report. That's about 6 weeks. And for the last 14 weeks, you have to make your bachelor project. And that's normally a case you find from your internship. So that's from where, if you're an architect, the AT, you find a project where you make all the drawings and all the documents for that. And if you are CM, construction management, I go back to that. You also have a project that you find with the general contractor, and you make all the detailed delivery plans and documents that's required there. Our course is in fifth semester. You have two opportunities. You either go AT, so architectural technologist, or you go construction management. Not that if you go with one of the lines, you can't go back. It's just that you have a more toning of your materials that goes in a certain direction. And that's also mainly that we see that when people go to internship and take their bachelor, they focus on the things where you turned in fifth semester. If you go to AT, you finish as AT, and if you start as CM, you finish as CM. But some crossover even at the bachelor. But that's our course and how it's set up. And then it's if let's say when you're finished with your AT program and you want to take a bachelor degree, that's actually possible. I can't quite remember if you have to start at third semester. So you have to have instead of 3.5 years, your bachelor degree is gonna be 4 years. But that's I can't remember the exact, but I think it's you have to have a half year longer. And as I wouldn't say there's a lot of students that do that, but we have a lot of international students from Europe that takes the whole education. So they start in first semester and leave at their seventh semester. Some of them also take the internship in Denmark. I would say that can be hard, even if the companies say they have their main language is English, or the corporate language is English. That's not always the case, because the day-to-day language is gonna be Danish for the most part. That's also an opportunity to learn some Danish if you want to do that. Some people also take their internship abroad. Also, the international students, some of them choose to, if they come from Lithuania, they choose to take their internship in England or Spain or something like that, and that is also an opportunity. I don't know. Do you have Lotte? Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you covered most of it. Yeah, the student can take internship in Europe, but some is also going to as far as Australia also. We have some students there who take internship there. So there is a lot of possibilities to go abroad. It is also possible, for example, on the fifth semester, some is also going abroad and take one semester in Europe. That is also possible.
There is a question from Matthew. Our course is it's a bachelor degree, so it's a 3.5 years program. The one where I said it was 4 years, that would be if you as an AT student in SAIT wish to make it a bachelor degree, I believe that you have to start in our third semester. So
Yeah,
you
the
have to
fourth
have
semester.
fourth semester. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, the fourth semester. So you have to take fourth semester, fifth semester, sixth, and seventh. So you actually have 2 years left. So in your case, you have already have 2 years, and then you have to add on 2 more years to get your bachelor degree.
If I could just come in, hello.
Yeah,
Kelvin.
hi.
Hi.
You guys.
I thought you were a student.
Oh, yeah, right. I almost believe you. First of all, you guys, if you're in this meeting, turn your cameras on. There's nothing worse than like talking to a bunch of bubbles or like black squares. So if you're in this meeting, please turn your camera on. Thank you. I just wanted to add a bit to what you guys were saying and maybe help our students have more of a SAIT perspective to what VIA maybe has to offer. Our students have been going to VIA for 5-6 years now, I think. Every year we have several students that go. And for those of you, especially that are possibly interested in going on and maybe doing a Master's of Architecture or something, you need to have an undergrad degree to get into a master's program. And some of our former students have used VIA as a route of getting a bachelor degree and then coming back here and then moving into the master's. So that's, you know, one possible way of looking at how something like this might be applicable to you. Another thing is that, you know, we only have you for 2 years. You guys are just here for 2 years. We throw you out of the nest in April and off you go and sort of make your way. And having an extra 2 years of an architectural technology education really gives you a bit of an advantage, even though you're not thinking of going on to do a master's. You now have 2 extra years of working as an architectural technologist, plus you have a degree as well that goes with it. The third thing is that you are going to be living in Denmark, which is a fantastic place to be. You know, the Scandinavians are light years ahead in some ways from us. So you're going to be exposed to so many things that we just don't have here that we aspire to having. So living in that kind of a context, pursuing an architectural education, you know, just walking home from school, you're going to see stuff that you've never thought of before that we just don't have here. And again, you know, if you're coming back here with a bachelor from VIA, it makes you that much more employable here because you've kind of experienced a different side of the world in a place which is actually quite architecturally progressive. So tons of reasons why you might want to consider this. Further your education, if you're thinking of a master's, further your education in AT, because we can't teach you everything there is to know, so that you get a couple more extra years while you're there. And just the fantastic experience of living in Denmark for 2 years.
I have something I want to add to that. That's a really good point, Mark. This is Amy. Hi, Kel.
Hi.
I love this opportunity. I'm actually half Danish, so I'm like, I've never been to Denmark, but maybe someday. But the international experience is really what I was touching on when I was listening to Mark, was that even though you're working in Calgary, so many firms are global. So it doesn't mean you're just doing projects based here. So you're gaining that whole other perspective that you can always come back and live in Calgary if that's where you want your base to be. But I've worked for global companies, but I did international projects for a couple of years, and it was a huge learning curve. So getting ahead of the game in this way is a really positive thing. I think it's an amazing opportunity for sure for those that are sitting here.
Yeah, it's a good investment.
And you guys are just learning project-based learning. The program over in Denmark has this down to a T. So yeah, it's a really amazing opportunity that way as well.
Yeah.
I think we're the only teachers in here.
Thank you.
I think the other
really
thing,
thought that. I really thought that you were a student as well, but that's
Thank you.
The other thing too is that you know, the tuition costs of going to Denmark are quite steep for us. And the way it works, like with their system, is that if you're a European citizen, the tuition is free. Is that still the case, Lotte?
yeah, it is.
Yeah. So if you have parents of European heritage that have a passport, European passport, if you have a European passport, you can go there free. And basically, I mean, you're going to sort of take advantage of the system, I suppose, as a way of you getting an extra 2 years without sort of paying the tuition. The Danes might not like that, but that's kind of the situation that is an opportunity for you. But if you don't have that, if you're not in that situation, then you know the tuition fees are steep, but I would say are well worth your money to still be able to do that.
I don't know about the tuition, how much it costs. Do you know that, Lotte?
No, unfortunately not. I do not know the amount.
Yeah, I used to know the amount in Canadian dollars. I think safely you can say it's double what, say, tuition is, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I think it goes the other way around as well. If I want to go to Canada and take an education, I have to pay the double amount a Canadian citizen has to.
Yeah, you'll pay foreign fees.
Yeah. There's a question regarding the application process.
I was just wondering, because I was looking on your guys' website, if the application process ends in March, if that's like the deadline, and like just what you guys
no, we have intake every half year.
Every half year, okay.
So I think the application, I think the semester start that goes in middle of August, that's probably in March or April. That could go, that could maybe be, yeah. And then we have the semester that starts. It starts the 8th of February. I think the application has to be finished, I don't know, November or something like that. Isn't that right? Or couldn't that be?
I think if you want to start in February, I think the deadline is November.
Yeah, something like that.
November.
Yeah.
But it should be able to find on our international homepage. But I will chase it up, and then we can send it by mail to you, Mark, with a link or something.
Okay.
You must copy it.
Sorry.
I was just going to ask a general question here. I know SAIT kind of models their project-based learning curriculum around the work that is done at VIA. Can you maybe speak to what that curriculum is for the undergraduate program, the 3.5 year when you do the AT?
I think you have to ask the question again. I didn't quite get it.
I was just gonna ask you if you could elaborate a little bit more about the project-based learning.
Yeah.
And in particular to the 3.5 year program,
bachelor's. How's it goes? Yeah, okay. Of course, in the first semester, we have something called Learn to Learn. So it's quite it's quite, the learning curve isn't that steep. So you have to get familiar with being on the school bench again, because lots of our students actually come from the trades. I would say half of our students come from the trades. So there's a lot of people that maybe haven't been at school for 10 or 15 years, and they get back. So they have to also learn to be in school again. And that goes on for the first semester, also pretty much for the second semester. At the same time, they learn the basic things about materials and how to put them together, and what material goes together, and they learn about the building codes, and they learn about different descriptions and general knowledge of construction and making details and plans and so on. And every semester is have a main topic or a project. So first semester is just housing. It's just a one family house. So it's quite simple. And you are gonna design it yourself. And in the first and second semester, there's also and the third semester is quite a bit more architectural part in it. So you have to design it, and you have to decide your own building as well. And when you get to third semester, you have more of a multiple functional house. I think it's arena, something where you have some sports facilities and so on, and then you also made of either concrete or CLT elements or something like that. And that's a cooperation with another VIA school. So you actually exchange models. So you have to cooperate with another class or another group at another school. So it's so we try to we try to mimic the real world, the practice, as good as possible. So we try to make it as much as a work environment as they do in an architectural firm. And when you get to fourth semester, you have to make some high-rise living quarters. And fifth semester is that's where I teach. That's renovation. For the most part, it's old buildings in Aarhus or Holstebro or Horsens, where the schools are placed. We take a case and make it. We have to make a renovation or at the same time extension of the building, and we had to take account of sustainabilities and so on. So it's that way. And sixth semester is, of course, the internship. So there we don't have that much contact to the students. And the seventh semester is a project that you choose for yourself. You go together with some of the co-students you have had and make a group. You're allowed to work on the same project, but normally you have your own, but you still work in a group and help each other and so on. I don't know if was that.
Yes, that was perfect.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that.
So it's quite similar to sort of the process that we're following here. Like the learn to learn piece that Kjeld was talking about. That's, when you guys did the birdhouse way back when, that was sort of our learn to learn piece. And then as you're progressing through our semesters, projects get more complicated, and in your capstone, you're defining the process, the project, and then working through it. So yeah, I think if you were to go to VIA, that you wouldn't find it a big shock in terms of
No, of course, no,
how they
no.
approach things. It's almost a really beautiful, seamless transition.
It's and it's sometimes can be hard to describe how we do it, because it's just the way we always done it, more or less. But there is a lot of decisions that's up to you as a student. So you have to make the choices. And that's also a big part when you go to the exam, that it's you take the choice and you find the relevant building codes, and you find the relevant descriptions for whatever you're looking at, and you have to stick with that, because it's your research, it's your analyze, it's your everything. So
I have a question.
We don't try to.
Oh, sorry. Just in terms
No, that's
of
okay.
With COVID and everything, are they still in-person classes, or is some of it online?
At the moment, we actually in the fall semester that we just finished, we actually been on campus pretty much all the way until the start of December, where the curve just skyrocketed with Corona. So then we closed down campus completely, and we are closed until at least the end of February. So at the moment, it's only online. But we have more or less been open until now. So we cross our fingers to open at the end of February.
Keld was in Canada. He was at SAIT actually in March when everything shut down.
Yeah.
And the Danish government told them to all go home, so he had to fly home right away.
It might be interesting to note too, like how you guys do your classroom setup is much different than how we do at SAIT. Like when we're on campus, you know, you guys have your rooms and you guys move around. Or maybe Keld, if you can elaborate a little bit more on how the students are more stationed and the teachers or classes move.
The students have their own classroom, so you're setting up your workstation, so you have the same classroom every day, so you can make it as cozy and as possible. And normally there's, if it's a group of 4, they put 4 tables together and make a small group, and then the teachers come to them. So I go to different classrooms for different classes, but not the other way around. So you don't come to different classroom to have a lecture. It's
so it's more like having like a desk at an office, where like you can go in and you always have your desk, but everyone else.
Yet again, we try to mimic a working environment as good as possible.
It might seem like a small thing of like being able to create your own space, but I know from my experience when I went to architecture school, we had studio spaces. Like this was my spot, and you know, it became your home basically. You lived there because you worked so many hours. And very different. I mean, we're trying to do that at SAIT, and it's just the big SAIT mechanism is having a hard time wrapping their mind around it. But you know, that is something that I think is actually really important, that you create your own space, you put your own stuff on the walls, and it's yours, and that the teachers travel to you. One day I hope we can be doing that as well here.
Yeah, me too. It's like a logistics thing with our schedule, as we know.
That's actually also one of the biggest things that the Danish students has mentioned about all of this online, because of course I said that we have been more or less on campus. That's truth, but in moderation, because our first, second, and third semester had access to campus all the time. Fourth and fifth semester, we divided the week, so two days for fourth semester and 2 days for fifth semester, and everything else was online. That's also yet again because when we have the things about learn to learn, we have that we think that it's best to be physical on campus.
Yeah.
And the thing the fifth semester mentioned that was they really missed their classroom. They really missed the talks they had with the other students, because that's the thing that happens when we set up a work environment in a classroom where the students are all day, instead of going to a different classroom for every lesson. That it's there's a lot of talk about the project, and there's a lot of knowledge sharing between the students, and that helps a lot, especially those who maybe lack a bit of knowledge. They get to a higher level by being among other students. So I don't know if there's some questions in the chat. I don't know if they are there scholarship opportunities? I think that may be for SAIT, because we don't have scholarships.
For our own student who is going abroad here in Denmark, they can apply here in Denmark for scholarship. But I think this is a question for SAIT, because I don't think you can apply for scholarship here in Denmark if you want to go here.
Yeah, you'd have to access, if there's any scholarships available, you'd have to access it from the Canadian side. It would be either the federal government, provincial government, or the institute that would be granting you the scholarship. It wouldn't come from Denmark.
Then there is also, can I still apply even after years of graduation from SAIT AT? I don't know if there is a I think there isn't any issue about that. Of course, there is. That may. That's also how many years are there? Because, but if it's a few years, I don't think there's an issue about that.
Yeah, former students of ours have graduated from SAIT, and then they've worked in an office for a year or two, and then have gone to VIA as well. So
that's also a good way to do it for many. Yeah. So I can see. Okay. Usual intake amount for international students in fourth semester. Most of our international students all actually take the bachelor degree, so they come in first semester and finished in seventh. That's because they are European students, so that's actually the minority of students that they take every semester. I don't know how many international student that comes in fourth semester. I know that the classes are around 40 in Aarhus, 40 students, and I think more or less the same in Horsens. Or is I'm wrong, Lotte?
No,
I mean-
it's around that amount, yes.
Yeah. And like Lotte said, in Holstebro, we don't have any international classes. But you're always welcome to start in a Danish as well.
Good luck
Just
with
to
that.
spice up things. Ja, ja. Det er da bare nemt at forstå det hele. Det.
Ja.
Let's say students is coming from SAIT. What was on the US use that has I don't think it would. Let's say a student is coming from SAIT but has a EU citizenship. Would they require a visa? No, I don't think so.
No.
No, I don't think so either. But I will chase it up and find all these information, and then we can email it to Mark if it's that okay with you, Mark?
Sure. Yeah.
And if you are a EU citizen, you don't have to pay the fee as well. It's
You walk in and it's yours.
yeah.
The whole comes.
Yeah.
I mean, there
And-
might
and-
be, to answer Daniel's question, I'm not sure about it, but I mean, there might be like a residency requirement that you have to
Yes.
tell the country that you're here, kind of thing. But
Yes.
So
yeah,
you get something called SU, where when you're attending school,
yeah.
you get paid. Can you
By the
remember how?
government?
Yeah, I can. Can you remember how much it is per
No,
month?
I cannot remember that either. But to get that amount from the government, you need, as an international student, to work 10 hours per week.
Isn't it 12? I think it's 12 now.
Yeah, 10 or 12 hours per week you have to work in Denmark,
Yeah.
and then you will get a certain amount every month from our government.
Yeah.
The social system in Denmark is fantastic.
Yes.
There's lots and lots of benefits if you're a citizen. Yeah.
Yeah. It's for a student that SU, that's 6,300 kroner per month. So that's quite a lot. That's I can't remember what can't remember what to 6,000. If it's 6,000 crowns, that's Canadian dollars. That's 1,200 Canadian dollars. Yeah.
12,000.
1,200 Canadian dollars per month.
Oh, per month. Yeah.
Yeah, per month. But then you have to pay
To work,
rent.
you have to
Yeah.
work 10 or 12 hours per week to get that
Yeah.
kind of amount.
Yeah, from the government.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I know that 12 hours per week maybe doesn't sound as that much, but normally it's hard to find a work where you only have to work 10 or 12 hours. So because you have to go into a work schedule and so on with other employees, so maybe it's 20 hours. I know that it can be pretty hard, but it's manageable. It's if I want to stay in Europe, Denmark after you finish at VIA schooling, is there a time limit for when you have to find a job before having to leave the countries? I think when you finish school, you have to either apply for traveling visa, and I don't know what the regulations are for Europe. When you isn't it normally 6th or 9th month or something like that?
Yeah.
I think it's but that you can find that I think I would just Google that. But I think that's the normal way to do it, that you have 6 months after finished education. Are there dorm costs? We don't have dormitories at VIA.
No.
At all. So you have to find an apartment in the city, either a shared one or find one at your own. I don't know if
it's very difficult, but of course it can be done. It's difficult to find in Aarhus because it's also very expensive. If you go to Horsens, there you can find a small apartment cheaper than in Aarhus. But you can you have to Google that and look it up. And I'm sure also some of the international guides can help you with that issue. But if you want to be in Aarhus, which is a great city and so on, with a lot of cafes and social environment, you have to be aware of that it is expensive to live in Aarhus.
I would say a normal apartment in Aarhus, let's say 40 square meters or something like that, that would cost about 4,000 to 5,000 Danish crowns. So that's pretty much the amount you're gonna get from the government if you have that opportunity. So, and otherwise it's about 1,000 Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
What
all your courses,
what level of Danish speaking would you recommend to be profound in your course? If you go to the international line, everybody has to speak English. Of course, if you sit in a group with 2 people from Lithuania, they probably want to speak Lithuania with each other. But if in a group work you speak English, and if you go to the Danish line, everything is in Danish. So pretty much every Dane can speak English. So also if you go out in the city, it's no problem.
Yeah.
Of course, it's always funnier to learn a bit of the native language. So
and there are a lot of courses.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
to take, you can go to a Danish course, and we recommend it, so you learn some Danish.
Yeah, I know if you're a European citizen as well, or I even think if you're parents or grandparents and you still have access to that, the Danish courses are for free as well. I think you also could find Danish courses for free, even for exchange students. I have seen that somewhere. I can't remember if it's in VIA or it's or it's just the local government that has some courses. But
it's interesting too. I tried learning a bit because I have family that comes over from Denmark in the past, and there's English words and Danish words that are not the same meaning, just as a heads up to everybody when you are learning a different language. And I found that quite entertaining when there was maybe jokes that I didn't realize were going on. I Googled some websites to figure it out, and it was quite interesting how English words and Danish words, exact same spelling, are nowhere close. So
yeah. And actually also, yeah, you could get some exciting good discussions about that when
you ask a question and it means nowhere close what you're asking. Yeah,
but there's also a lot of Danish words that actually pretty much the same as the English one, because lots of the English words come from England, and there have been a lot of Vikings going way back. So there's actually a lot of English words that's actually from Danish. So like window, we just call it vindue. So that's another story. Okay.
Yeah. Kjeld, I have another meeting that I have to go to, but I just wanted to say, if you guys are interested in carrying this further, like email me and I can be the contact between Lotte and Kjeld. And do this, guys. This is like a life-changing opportunity for you. So we'll see you later.
To see you guys.
Nice to see you
again.
Take care,
Nice
Mark.
to see you.
Take care. Bye.
I'm Mark.
too.
So for everybody that knows, like back when we had the can't remember what it's called, maybe you guys can help me out, like the travel program, Mark was in charge of the trip to Denmark for that week, and that's how Mark knows a little bit more about the program. He's been to VIA, knows Kel and Lottie, so Mark's definitely a great resource for any questions. I just met Kel when he was here last semester, and I just have always been curious because I got relatives over there, so Danish roots.
Yeah. So yeah, Mark, he had I think 12 or 15 students in Denmark. Not this summer, last summer for summer school. In a program, they looked at CLT elements, high-rise buildings in CLT as well. So that was quite fun. So
did Patrick go as well, Kel?
Yeah, Mark and Patrick, yeah.
Yeah, so Patrick and Mark are both really good resources for just finding out really what it's like over in Denmark and everything else.
So
Or any additional resources to just kind of, do you recommend we go on your website or anywhere else that we could connect with?
Yeah, I would definitely go to our website, but also otherwise write to Richard at your international office.
Richard?
Can't remember his last name. I should say the British guy.
I can look it up, no problem.
I will try to catch up on all these subjects about the international homepage, links, and prices and application form. I will catch that up, and then I will email to Mark so he can share it with you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's Richard Walton. He's at the international office at SAID.
Okay, perfect.
So I know that I should talk to him about making some material for SAID students. So I'm looking into that. Were there any other questions?
I think as far as the chat is concerned, I think we covered all our bases there, but if anyone in the audience has anything, I guess now is a chance. If not, we can sort of wrap things up here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, Lottie.
Otherwise, I'm looking forward to seeing 26 students next semester in the international class. So that and Amy, you're always welcome. You know.
Someday.
Yeah.
I found out a lot of my family lives about 45 minutes away from our house, so I did have that conversation after you guys were here because I was just so curious how.
That's almost in Germany then.
Oh, is it?
No, it's
it's not that bad.
It's just that small country, so it's.
I thought that
that's actually another thing. If you go to Denmark and study in your summer vacation, you actually have a lot of opportunities to go to other different countries. So if you take the train, you go to Germany, Italy, Spain. So it's quite easy.
Yeah, I've heard of students even traveling on the weekend to other places because it's that easy to do so. So
yeah,
it's pretty interesting. There's lots of documentaries and such you can watch on Denmark. I know I've been sent a few, so it's really beautiful. But just a different learning atmosphere. I think from a Canadian perspective, it's a really like family prioritized personal time versus work time. It's a lot more structured than working here in Canada. Whereas, I know in my career, I've worked 10 to 12 hours a day and they ask if you can stay longer. Whereas I think in Denmark has a little bit more disciplined and just environment and prioritizing personal versus professional time as a side note. So that I think that's definitely a different avenue that you would notice right away just by the culture. So yeah, I don't know if you know any more about that, Kel, but I know just from my family, they're shocked by how much we actually work here and don't shut things down or don't shut things off. So yeah,
I think that it's I don't know if it's special from Denmark, but it's more or less like a Nordic thing. I think it's. And I think it's go way back, and it's been a union thing that's fought for these rights for employees. So also, so we have a working day that's 8 hours, more or less, and that's it.
That's it.
Also, of course, we have some days that are longer, but.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Any questions? No?
I think we can wrap things up here. Thank you very much, Keld and Lottie, for giving up some of your evening.
You're welcome.
As you're both out of Denmark,
welcome.
we all really appreciate it. So thank you for coming in, and I'm sure some of us will see you in the coming months, next semester, or whatnot.
Hopefully.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Hopeful. Thank you.
Bye.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
too.
bye.
You.
Bye.